I saved money for 3 years for my dream vacation, but one night before my flight, my family forced me to give up everything for my sister. I refused, and I made a decision that taught them a lesson they never expected and changed everything forever. I saved money every month for 3 years for my dream vacation. But just one night before my flight, my sister sat in my parents' kitchen and told me I had to give her all of it because family needs come before wants. I asked her only one question: if this was my place, would you do the same for me? Nobody answered. My name is Emma Carter. I'm 34 years old and I live in a small town in Ohio. I work as an administrative assistant at an elementary school. My life was never anything extraordinary, but I always learned to appreciate the little things. 3 years earlier I had seen a picture online. It was a small coastal town in Greece. White buildings, blue water, and narrow streets lined with little shops. I had never traveled outside the country before. After college I was always saving money for something. Sometimes it was household expenses, sometimes helping someone else, and sometimes unexpected bills. But this time I decided I was going to do something just for myself. I opened a separate savings account. Every payday I transferred $150 into it. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more depending on what was happening that month. When my car needed repairs, I still protected my vacation fund. When my friends invited me to expensive restaurants, I stayed home and cooked. To other people it probably looked like a small thing. To me it was 3 years of discipline. My sister Rachel always knew I was saving for this trip. She would joke about it sometimes. "Emma, you're taking this vacation way too seriously," she would say. I would laugh. I didn't know then that she never truly saw my dream as something that belonged to me. Rachel is 2 years older than me. She is married and has 2 children. Her husband, Brian, had lost his job the year before. At first everyone helped them. My parents paid some of their bills. I brought groceries to their house several times. I never complained. But slowly things started changing. Rachel began seeing other people's sacrifices as the solution to every problem. One time she told me, "You're single, Emma. You don't have as much to worry about." I simply replied, "Being single doesn't mean my dreams matter less." She laughed. I still remember that moment. At the time the comment felt strange, but I ignored it. My flight was scheduled for Sunday morning at 7 a.m. On Saturday night my parents hosted a family dinner. They said everyone should eat together because I would be leaving for a few weeks. My suitcase was already packed in my car. My passport, tickets, and travel documents were inside a small bag. I was excited. I thought maybe for once my family would simply be happy for me. But after dinner my mother said, "Emma, we need to talk to you about something." I noticed Rachel was already sitting quietly. Brian was at the other end of the table looking at his phone. My father spoke softly. "Rachel and Brian need a little help." I nodded. "How much?" My mother looked at me. "Your vacation savings." I stayed silent for a few seconds. I thought maybe I had misunderstood. "What do you mean?" Rachel immediately spoke. "Just this once. We need help for a few months. It's about the kids." I looked at her. "How much money are we talking about?" Brian answered. "About $4,500. The exact amount I had saved over 3 years. I placed my coffee cup on the table. The coffee had already gone cold. I said, "My flight is tomorrow morning." Rachel shrugged. "So, you can take the vacation later." I looked at her. "No, Rachel. This isn't just a vacation." My father quickly said, "Emma, family is supposed to be there for each other during hard times." That was the sentence I had heard my entire life. But the strange thing was, whenever my family needed me I was always there. Whenever I needed something, suddenly the circumstances changed. I asked, "What happens if I don't give you the money?" The room became quiet. My mother slowly said, "We thought you would understand." Rachel rolled her eyes. "I can't believe you're being so stubborn about going to Greece when our children are struggling." That was the moment everything became clear. The problem wasn't just the money. The problem was that everyone believed I would always be the one to give in. I pushed my chair back. "I'm not giving you the money." Nobody yelled. Nobody created a scene. The room just went silent. And somehow that hurt more than an argument would have. Because nobody said, "Emma, we're sorry." Nobody asked how I had managed those 3 years. I went home, took my suitcase out of my car and placed it in my room. That night I couldn't sleep. But the next morning I went to the airport. I boarded my flight. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I didn't need anyone's permission to protect something that mattered to me. Greece was everything I had imagined. I woke up early, walked through small streets, drank coffee beside the ocean, and for the first time in years, my mind wasn't focused on someone else's problems. It was just me. When I returned home, I started talking to my family less. Not because I was angry. I was just tired. A few weeks later, Rachel sent me a message. "You abandoned us." I didn't respond. Then my father called. He said, "Rachel is upset with you." I asked him, "Does she understand what she did?" There was silence. Then he said, "She's going through a difficult time." I replied, "So was I." For 3 years. After that, I made a decision. I changed my boundaries. I stopped setting aside money every month for everyone else's emergencies. I started saving for my own future. About 6 months later, Brian found a new job. Their situation began improving. But Rachel never apologized. Then one day, my mother told me Rachel had been talking about me to other family members. She was saying I was selfish. I simply ended the call. Because I finally understood something. Some people only see your sacrifices as love as long as you continue sacrificing. A few months later, Thanksgiving arrived. We all gathered at my parents' house again. The atmosphere wasn't the same anymore. During dinner, Rachel suddenly said, "Well, Emma, at least you got to enjoy your vacation. I hope it was worth it." Her tone carried the same old message. I looked at her. The old Emma probably would have stayed quiet. But not anymore. I said, "Yes, it was. Because I paid for it myself." The table went silent. I didn't say anything else. I didn't need to embarrass her. My silence was enough. A few months later, I bought my own small condo. It wasn't huge. It had 2 bedrooms, a small balcony, and old wooden floors. But it was mine. When I slept there for the first night, I felt a kind of peace I hadn't felt in years. I didn't win a battle. I simply took my life back. Today, my relationship with my family still isn't exactly the same. Maybe it never will be. But now, whenever someone tells me that family means sacrificing everything, I think about one thing. Family is not the people who ask you to give up everything you have. Family is the people who appreciate what you have. And that night before I went to the airport, when I said, no, it was the first time I chose myself instead of everyone else. If this story touched your heart or made you see family and boundaries differently, please consider giving this video a like and subscribing to the channel for more powerful stories. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. Your support means a lot, and we truly appreciate having you here.